Nothing quite like a little snow to do some spark plugs in. I don't know when these were last changed, so let's get them out, let's check the gap, see how bad they look, or good they look. Pretty straightforward. Just got our 4 coils right on top there. Pull those coil plug wires, coils out, spark plugs out, new spark plugs in. So right off the get-go right there, it's great to see none of these are covered in oil and that they're also OEM coils, so that's a great sign. A little bit of something on the bottom, but really these are very clean. So that's good news that this valve cover gasket is actually holding properly around the spark plug wells. For the spark plugs, I'm going with the Bosch double iridiums. So these are going to get gapped to 0.027 to 0.031 inches. So these ones are in fact gapped from the factory, so I just did a little checkaroonie, so it's kind of getting stuck a little bit, but basically those are good to go. Let's take a look at these old plugs. I mean, they're really not bad at all, just ever so slightly out of spec. It's also good to see that it looks like all the cylinders have been burning equally based on the color of the ceramic. But I don't think these have been there in an engine for too long. So kind of makes me think it was maintained, hopefully. There's also some new parts you can see on like a throttle body and a few vacuum lines. Figured while I'm here, I might as well do the air filter. So it's just a few little pull tabs. And this thing just kind of slides right up and out, which is nice. I mean, dang, I don't even think it's worth replacing. There's a little schmutz in there, so I guess, might as well at least, I have a new one with me. Nice and fresh. Something else I did notice while I was in here is it appears the gasket around the high pressure fuel pump was leaking some oil. So I sprayed it off with brake clean, and I'm going to keep an eye on that over the next little bit just to see, is that an oil leak or what's happening? Overall, this thing, being from Florida, seems super clean. And there's like no rust on the engine or anything. A lot of shiny parts, which you don't really see those in a lot of vehicles here in Michigan, especially once you get the salt, the weather, and everything else. Of some of the mechanical items, this car was absolutely trashed on the inside. So there's dog hair, sand, everything you could possibly imagine everywhere throughout this thing, which I don't fully understand how it even gets to this level. I mean, there was water, it looked like pop exploded and sprayed all over it. But anyways, we're at the car wash now. Shout out to Jack's here in the greater Detroit area. Check them out if you are in the area. I guess their monthly membership's a pretty solid deal, and I have this on a few of my vehicles. So we're going to work on getting out all of this sand. As you can see, it's absolutely caked. You probably have enough to build a small sandbox or at least a sand castle. There was, however, a bonus mag light that I found under the passenger seat, which was pretty exciting, especially that it was one of the mag light LEDs. And look at that, it even works. So Pretty solid score, but we're gonna keep on cleaning and try to figure out how we can get all of this hair and all of the sand out. It's ground into the point where nothing really wanted to move. Now we're off to the main event, the car wash. So I'm gonna put this through twice, once now and once as I'm about to head back home, just to see how much of the road grime and everything it'll really take off. And then we'll do our final reveal. So here we are. This is what she looks like. She has a little bit of ice still stuck on that front diffuser, but all in all, this thing cleaned up pretty good. So I'm going to use this as my daily, and we live on some dirt roads back in the country, and let's kind of see, you know, can you really daily a Mustang in Michigan in the winter? So something a little interesting, picking up the Mustang from the Ford dealer, getting a recall, and just the contrast between Volkswagen and Ford is kind of crazy. Taking my car to the Volkswagen dealer, the Passat, I got a free Carfax report printed out for me and emailed. Also got a car wash after they finished that recall, and so here I am getting this thing recalled. No car wash, no nothing. I was like, man, you guys are really lacking. At least the car still runs. I don't want to dog on Ford too hard, but it was kind of interesting that they told me just to even diagnose the TPMS light being on, it'd cost $250. When my Passat had some other lights on, the dealer did all the diagnostic and basically was like, hey, here's what these codes mean. Here are some options on getting them fixed. So kind of interesting, the quality and the level of service. Driving this thing in the winter hasn't been any issue so far. So we are on dirt roads and we're kind of at the bottom of a hill. I've had no issues going anywhere in this thing. So it's got Florida summer tires on it still. And basically what I've done to drive this thing everywhere is I shut the stability and traction control off. Again, this isn't really recommended, but it would allow just enough wheel slip to where the computer wouldn't get involved. And with a little bit of driver mod, you can kind of get yourself in and out of any situation. Had to head on down to Mexico really quick just to see how sideways it can get within reason. And yeah, I'd say it passes. This thing is also pretty practical. We had to get more bedding for our chickens, and sure enough, you can pack the interior with the shredded pine flakes and it'll do just fine. It's 10 degrees out. What a perfect time to do an oil change. So today's flavor of the day is the Costco high mileage full synthetic. We're giving her a little Fram filter, but that'll do just fine. Got this thing jacked up, gonna throw a jack stand under there. Gonna creep on in, drain that oil out, put that new filter in. I'm also gonna replace this with a newer one, just because this one just looks crusty and these things are known to fail. Being that this thing's from Florida, it's really refreshing to see how clean cars are in a milder climate. Everything here in Michigan, like if this was a 15 from Michigan, it was driven in the winter, everything would just be covered in rust, but this thing's pretty clean. So we got almost all that old oil out. New filter is in. This thing takes 5.7 quarts. And once that's done, this thing's on the ground, I'm going to replace this coolant overflow tank. So I haven't driven a direct injected vehicle in quite a minute, besides something that's diesel. And yeah, this
DI oil definitely smells a lot closer to diesel oil than a traditional port injected. Anyways, yeah, the oil looks fine in this thing. No evidence of coolant or anything mixing. If I get bored later, I might cut apart that filter, but we'll kind of see what happens with that. I'm gonna put it on the ground, fill it up, check the level, and replace this expansion tank. But man, it is cold, windy, and starting to snow. Easiest way to replace the coolant tank if you don't want to drain the coolant or anything, undo the two bolts right here. Those are 10 millimeter. Undo your two coolant hoses. So this one connects to that top back of this reservoir. I just have it tucked there just so it doesn't fall over and start leaking. And then you can tip it so then all of your coolant is in the bottom half of this, allowing you to remove this tube without spilling any. Basically, once that tube's pulled, you can then with one hand move this thing over, grab your new reservoir, connect this tube, and then rotate it, put it down, and then you will have some coolant that will start to leak back through this tube into here. Just like that. Didn't lose any coolant. Our coolant is in here. So right now, because the engine's cold, I'm just gonna kind of lay this back on the turbo side. Grab our new reservoir. Let's get this hose in place. Down a bit. Push our tube back in. You can see it's starting to drain a little bit of coolant back into this thing. Put our clamp back on, top two hoses, and then bolt this thing back in. So and this thing's got a little tab that goes back in. Just lightly finger tight these two bolts. Grab that top coolant line. Bottom one. Make sure your hose clamps are in the right spot. Then open this. We're going to drain our coolant from the old reservoir into the new one. All right, just like that, we're good to go. Oil change and coolant bottle have been replaced. Levels look good, everything looks good. Just gonna keep cruising. We're in the Mustang today. We're gonna disable that fake engine noise with the door speakers. So with our OBD2 cable plugged in, 4Scan up and running. So we're gonna connect to the car after it's turned on. And then we're gonna shut off the engine noise. We're gonna head on over to our modules in a second once it finishes its initial boot up. So it's gonna be right over here on the left side. So we're looking for the ACM, the audio control module. Hit that play button in the bottom left. Basically it's, you know, do you understand what you're doing and blah, 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 blah. Yep, okay. So we have our top block here. So it says DA00, and that's second bank, so we're gonna change that to an 8. And then we're gonna leave all that, and then we're just gonna hit right. And it should be good to go after that. Let's see. Nope, it just rebooted the audio control module. So we're gonna go off. It says it took it successfully. So let's turn it back on. And we have chimes, so that's working.
So now I'm gonna try and start the car and hear if it's actually off or not. So clutch in, here we go. And sure enough, that worked. Sweet. So yeah, I guess that is how you turn your fake engine noise off in your EcoBoost.